What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a comic video. We're going to talk about certain Star Wars books that are on fire. This is kind of the opposite of the video maybe a week or so ago about cold books, books that are either flat or dropping in price. Well, these are increasing in price. Some of them I think are worth picking up even at these higher prices, but some of them I would avoid. And we'll go through each of them in detail. Before I dig in any further, first, I want to say thanks to my Patreon supporters. You guys allow me to make more and better videos. And second, the winner of the comic book giveaway was Birdo Collection. Birdo, I'm going to drop your comic book wins in the mail probably later today. And I also included one other little surprise in there for you. I know Birdo very well from Instagram. He's a great guy. He actually sent me some Berserker foil covers that I had graded by CGC. All of them came back with a 9.8. So, Birdo, I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the books that were given to the channel by Brett on Fet, a fellow YouTuber. Enjoy the books, and I included one extra little goodie in there for you. Okay, let's dig in. We're going to talk about key Star Wars comic books that are on fire. As always, I'm talking about CGC 9.8 grades, just to keep things apples to apples versus past prices. Adjust your budget accordingly. Get raw books. Get lower grade books, whatever works for you. Some of these are still worth picking up. Some of these I think not. Let's take a look at this one. First one is Star Wars Legacy 16. This is an interesting one. It was running for about 150 to 160 bucks for the longest time. But now we got the new Obi-Wan series coming out. And everyone thinks that, this series looks really good based on that first trailer. Wow. Seeing the Grand Inquisitor in live action was incredible. And we're going to talk more about him in a little bit. But this one is the origin of Darth Krayt. And there were some rumors within the Book of Boba Fett that a lot of the Sand People that we saw was actually Darth Krayt. It turned out not to be true because they all died. They all died at the hands of the Pike Syndicate. But this is a book that, it covers a lot of Obi-Wan's adventures post-Clone Wars after he's on Tatooine. I haven't read this series, so I don't know much about it, but it's a really nice cover from Dark Horse in 2007. I think personally this is probably one I would wait on. I like Darth Krayt as a character to speculate on because I think that in general he's probably got a future within the live action content probably on Disney Plus. There's talks of it kind of a Sith Lord kind of spin-off show, but I'm not sure if this book is worth the massive increase that's happened. It's gone from about 150, 160. Now this one sold for 251 plus shipping on March 18th. Maybe I ended up being wrong on that, and ends up being a good deal. I don't know, but to me, I'd probably wait on that one. Here's another one that I found really interesting because it's doing the exact opposite of what we talked about in the last video about cold comics. One of the cold comics on my list was the first appearance of Black Chrysanthemum, which was Darth Vader #1. From, I believe it was 2015. But the issue is that one certain cover, this one, is kind of bucking the trend. And that one is the Del Mundo variant cover. It has a picture of Darth Vader, a close-up of his mask, with a young Anakin Skywalker kind of peering out like you see from the Phantom Menace, with the speeder goggles and helmet down there to his to his side there, and he's kind of peeking out in between. It's a really cool cover. Don't get me wrong. I like it a lot. And this just happens to also be the first appearance of Black Chrysanthemum, which, by the way, they're now labeling on the CGC label. They weren't labeling it before, but now this one just got graded, and you can see there in the upper right-hand corner of the CGC label, it says first appearance of Black Chrysanthemum. So that's another interesting note about this book. But what's interesting is that book in general has been dropping pretty steadily. It kind of hit some crazy highs after he appeared in the Book of Boba Fett, but this one's kind of bucked the trend. It's still going up. It's $350, and I think it's because of the Obi-Wan series coming out, and that, we all know that Hayden Christensen is reprising his role as Darth Vader. So there's probably some origin type story type stuff that'll show up in the new Obi-Wan series. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's because it's got the new label and people want to have that on the label. I don't know. But this book is $350, is quite a bit higher than where this one had been selling previously. It obviously went way up, then it came back down again, but this one's kind of bucking the trend of what the other covers have done. This is another one that we've talked about in past videos. And I mentioned that I thought that this was a good deal, and it had been selling in my previous video. It sold for like $240. Well, another one sold at $360, and then this one sold at $560. $560. This is Star Wars 35 from the original Marvel run from May of 1980. This is the first face-to-face meeting of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. It's a great cover, Dark Lord's Gambit. It shows him kind of like playing chess with the main characters, the main heroes being the chess pieces. You've got all of the main characters there, and it's a great kind of 70s vibe to the cover. This one had the older case, and it sold for $560 on 23 bids. I actually bid on this one, not nearly to this level. I was prepared to go to about $350 to $400 just because I really want this book. And at the time when this book was listed, there was only 39 CGC 9.8s on the entire census. So there's only 39 9.8s. Since this listing on February 28th, there are now 56 of them. And I did end up picking this up in a brand new case. This is the older style case where it says white pages in the middle, and not nearly as nice with the liner that they now use for a lot of the CGC books. But anyway, one did get listed yesterday, and I made an offer, and he accepted it, and I got it for quite a bit less than what this one sold for. But I wanted to point this one out because it's a really cool book that not a lot of people talk about. The first face-to-face meeting of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. And like I said, there's now 56 of these on the CGC census. I'm very excited to get my copy. I should have that later this week, and we'll certainly do an unboxing at some point. But it's a great book to keep in mind, and I think just this is a buy and hold type of book forever. I wouldn't pay $560 for it. I wouldn't pay $560 for it, but you know, I did pay up for mine versus kind of the early January prices because I just wanted to make sure I got it in my collection. And you know, maybe if you're lucky, you get it in the threes somewhere in there. But I did pay up for mine. Another book that I had a whole separate video on is Darth Vader number 20. This is the first print version. We'll go over the second print version in a second, but this is the first print with the gold foil cover. This is the Sprouse 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm Limited cover, and this is the variant edition for Darth Vader number 20, and it's the first comic book cover appearance of the Mandalorian as well as Grogu. So this is going to be an important book, in my opinion. We all know that the adaptation of Season 1 is coming in June, and those pre-sales are available right now. So you might want to go ahead and get those pre-orders in for the Mandalorian Season 1 adaptation. Those books, I think, will do pretty well. And there is a JTC cover, I believe 1 in 25 cover ratio variant, as well as a 1 in 50, and then a couple of standard variant covers that are non-retail incentives. But this, in my opinion, this will continue to go up in price. This one was listed for $225, best offer accepted. And I pre-ordered one of these on one of those pre-order websites. I believe it was unknowncomicbooks.com. No, I'm sorry. I pre-ordered mine from Mutant Beaver Comics in Canada. I paid $130 for mine. So it's already gone up from that price. It's probably around $200 now. And I found a number of data points on eBay that supports this $200 to $225 price. I even saw one that sold for $250. So this one is rapidly moving up, and I would probably go ahead and snag one now if you're interested in having the Mandalorian's first cover appearance. I think what's going to happen is Marvel's going to see the amazing reception to the Season 1 adaptation, and they're very quickly going to put out Season 2 adaptation. As I mentioned in the previous video on these books, they did make a second print for this Sprouse variant, which is highly unusual. They never make a second print for these Sprouse variant covers. But this is the second print. This is the silver edition, the Beskar armor, quote-unquote, version, the second printing. And that one is already jumped in price as well. This one was listed for $130, best offer accepted. I found a number of data points around that $100 mark. So that has gone up quite a bit already. So those are a couple of options if you're looking for the Mandalorian and Grogu's first comic book cover appearance. And as I mentioned, there's also a Star Wars Insider magazine, trade magazine. I've got 3 of those at CGC right now, so we'll see if I can nab a 9.8 in at least one of them. I hope I do. Okay, now we alluded to this one early on in the video. This is the first appearance of the Grand Inquisitor in comic books. This book has been on fire. This is Darth Vader number 6 from December 2017. I bought this last year, I believe, April or May timeframe. I paid $145, I believe was the number I paid. But this is an amazing cover with the Grand Inquisitor on the cover. As you guys saw, he's going to be in the Obi-Wan series. He looked amazing in the trailer with that rotating lightsaber. This one sold for $490 on March 16th on 44 bids. This one sold for $525. This one sold for $587. I even found a couple that were at the $600 price point. It's come back down a little bit now. I think it's closer to $480 to $500 right now. If you can get it closer to $450, go for it, because I just don't see this book coming back down to those kind of under $200 price points. That's a character I'm willing to invest in. You know, I talked about how I think Black Chrysanthemum is a bad investment because he's just a Wookiee that growls and rips people's arms off and fights. He's not going to have a deep, meaningful character development in the live action content, in my opinion. But this character, I could see if he shows up and he's awesome, if Rupert Murdoch, something like that, I can't remember his name, Rupert something. If he does a really good job, then I think that you're going to see possibly a spinoff for him. Who knows? But the Grand Inquisitor is an interesting character. He was cool in the Star Wars Rebel cartoon, and I think that this is such an iconic cover. There's not a ton of these on the census. It's a dark cover, so it's hard to get a 9.8 in. Even raw now, they're selling for almost what I paid for my 9.8. It's pretty crazy. Another one we've talked about in the past that I'm not sure if I'd pay these kind of prices, but this is the first appearance of Sarah Junda, which is the seventh sister. She obviously is going to play a major role in the Obi-Wan series. We can see her as, it looks like she's going to be African American. She's going to be looking for Obi-Wan. She's going to be kind of the main on-site investigator trying to find Obi-Wan Kenobi. And her first comic book appearance is in Jedi Fallen Order Dark Temple #1. This is a video game tie-in. This is the really dark cover that is tough to get in a 9.8, and that one sold for $450. This is the 1 in 10, I believe it's the 1 in 10 ratio variant. There's also a standard cover that's a little bit less expensive. I don't think I'd pay $450 for this right now. If I'm going to pay $450, I'd buy the first Grand Inquisitor. But these are going for almost the same price, and I wouldn't pay that personally, even though it is a 1 in 10 ratio variant. This is one that I really like. I really like this one. This is Fallen Order Dark Temple #5. This is the variant edition, and it has the second. I kept saying seventh sister. I meant second sister. Second sister is the person that's going to be in the Obi-Wan series. But this is her first comic book cover, and she looks pretty awesome there. I love this cover. It's a really incredible cover. It's also a 1 in 10 ratio variant. This one sold for $600 though. $600. That's a little steep in my opinion. I think if I'm going to spend this kind of money, I'd rather get the first appearance comic, even though she's not on the cover. But me personally, I think if you hold back, I would probably lean towards not investing yet in this book. I think there's a chance that it comes down. Now, I talked to a few collectors, and they say, I could see them probably turning her to the good side, and she kind of like has a hybrid role within the show of Agent Kallus, who turns to the good side. Maybe they don't have Agent Kallus at all, and they just use the second sister as the main pursuer, and then at the end she saves Obi-Wan. Who knows? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see what happens. But me personally, I'm waiting on getting this book. I just don't think it's a good investment. If I'm going to spend that kind of money again, I'd get the Grand Inquisitor's first appearance. Another book that is on fire, the whole series is on fire, after what we talked about in previous videos, and it's not like I had anything to do with it. I'm just saying that since I made that video about how the High Republic, there's a movie in the works, there's potentially a Disney Plus series in the works aimed at younger adults, there's a video game in the works, there's a lot that's going on with the High Republic. They just finished Phase 1, Phase 2 is kind of in process now, with some of the backstory type of books like the Eye of the Storm, which is the Marchion Rose origin story. But the original High Republic series of comics is really taken off in price. This is High Republic #1, the standard cover. There are 1,000 of these in a 9.8 grade, but yet they continue to take off. I paid about $60 for mine. It's now selling for $122.50. This is the first print. There are 5 different printings, including a 5th print that has a black and white version of this cover. And by the way, High Republic #15 just came out, which is the last issue in this volume. It has the first appearance of the Leveler, which is kind of a Force-sensitive Jedi monster. And that book has taken off as well. But there's a kind of a homage variant for High Republic #15 that does an homage of this cover. So Keep that in mind. But this book has really taken off. And here's another one this one sold for $145. That's almost, that's over double what I paid for mine. So it's really taken off, that first issue. Another one that's done pretty well is High Republic Adventures #6, the first comic book appearance of Ty Boda and a few other kind of great characters like Geode and Leox Giassi and Affie Hollow. We've talked about this book at length, so I won't belabor the point, but the standard issue, the standard cover now goes for about $120 to $140. This is the SDCC exclusive. This one sold for $250 last month, and I'm telling you that was a steal, because this book I've seen it sell on Whatnot for over $500, and there's one listed right now on eBay for $650 that hasn't sold yet. So that one I think is too high, but whoever got this for $250, that was a steal, because there's not many of these on the census. I don't like this cover though. I hate the cover. I own 2 of these myself, so full disclosure, but I don't like this cover nearly as much as the standard cover. This is a much better cover in my opinion. But this one's going to continue to do well and be more expensive just because it's limited in quantity. It was only available on IDW's website during the STCC convention. Another one, this is actually a book I bid on. I bid on this one, and I lost out at the last minute. But this is Star Wars Solo Adaptation #1. This is the first comic book appearance of a number of key characters from the Solo movie. Most importantly, it would be Kira, because she is heavily rumored to have her own show coming back out. And she obviously has made a big appearance. But this one sold for $406. $406. That one sold on January 9th. I bid on that one and lost. But the reason I bring that one up is because this one just sold here recently. This is the 1 in 50 ratio variant of the same book, Solo Adaptation #1. This is the Ross variant cover, and it shows Solo and Chewbacca fighting in the pit, the mud pit, and that's the really cool cover from the movie. That one sold for $750. $750 for the 1 in 50 ratio variant. That's an overpay. I think that'll go down as an overpay. I wouldn't pay that personally. But given that this book sold for $406, this is a 1 in 50 ratio variant. I think that's what people were thinking. Me personally, I think that's too high. I wouldn't pay that personally. And I think that right now we're in FOMO mode, where a lot of people are excited about the prospects of Kira coming out in her own show. I would wait. This is another book I'd wait on. Not many of these I'd be buying right now. Not many of these I'd be buying. This one, I'd buy this one at $250 and below. I don't think you'll be able to get it for that low. This one, I'm a buyer on. I want to get that one. But High Republic, I think the High Republic #1. If you're gonna pay $145, get one of the exclusive covers, like the Frankie's Comic exclusive or some of the 1 in 10 ratio variants, things like that. $145 for this one's too high in my opinion, just given that there's so many out there on the census. This is another one that sold. This was the 1 in 25 ratio variant for Solo, a Star Wars story adaptation. This is #5, so it's not even a first appearance, but it's got a cool kind of artistic Kira cover with Vidin Dross, I believe is his name, on the left, and then Darth Maul on the right. So she's kind of like in between the two of them for the Crimson Dawn crime syndicate. It's a great cover, don't get me wrong, but $595, there is no way I'm paying that price. No way. I would much rather have issue #1 with the first appearance. Again, going back to the High Republic Adventures, this is #2. This is the first full comic book appearance of Marchion Ro. This book has absolutely skyrocketed in price. 6 months ago, this was $60, and I didn't buy it, and I should have. I should have bought it, and now it's going for over $200. $200. Here's another one that sold for $295, so $300. This has gone up about 500% in the last, I'd say even less than 6 months. I'd say less than since January. This was at $60 or $70. Now it's going for $300. Crazy money. Another one that's moving up, surprisingly. It was flat in my last cold video, but now it's already starting to move up again. And that's Kanan, the Last Padawan #6. I don't know what's happening in the last couple of days, but this one is bumped up again. This one just sold for $687, which is about, let's call it about a 15% bump from my Cold Comics video even about 10 days ago. Not only that, but this one just sold for $737. So since my Cold Comic video about, let's call it 10 days ago, where I said this is sitting at $600, it's a great buy, just since then, another one has sold for $740. So $140 on 60, that's a good solid, 25% jump in price. if not more. So keep that in mind, is that Kanan the Last Padawan #6 is moving up. And I think that this is a book that is going to be over $1,000 once Sabine Wren makes her appearance in the Ahsoka TV series. Now is the time to get Kanan the Last Padawan #6. Hopefully you can get a stealthy auction and get it for $600-ish, but there's already several sales here recently in the last few days that have put this book closer to $700 now. That's all I really had for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.